Every few years, the Philippines goes through a moment where the frustration reaches a peak. Infrastructure projects that take decades, costs that keep rising, institutions that feel broken, and a growing sense that the system is working against ordinary people rather than for them. If you have felt that frustration recently, you are not alone. But here is what the data shows about that frustration and what it actually means for your money. The countries with the most frustrated citizens are not always the countries with the worst investment returns. In fact, some of the most significant wealth creation in Philippine history happened during periods when public sentiment about the economy was at its most negative. And the investors who understood that distinction built generational wealth while everyone else was distracted by the noise. This video is about that distinction. It is not about politics. It is not about who is right or wrong about the state of the country. It is about one question that every serious investor needs to answer clearly. Can you make real money in Philippine stocks and real estate even when everything feels broken? The answer is yes, and the data shows exactly how. Let us start with the most important principle in investing that most people forget when emotions run high. Asset prices and economic sentiment are not the same thing. Economic sentiment is how people feel about the economy. Asset prices reflect the underlying cash flows, balance sheets, and growth prospects of specific businesses and properties. These two things move together sometimes, but they diverge dramatically at critical moments. And those moments of divergence are where serious wealth is built. Here is a concrete example from Philippine history. Between 2008 and 2009, global financial sentiment was catastrophic. The world felt like it was ending economically. The PSE index dropped sharply. And yet, the investors who bought blue-chip Philippine dividend stocks and BGC real estate at those depressed prices in 2009 and held for a decade built extraordinary returns, not because the Philippines fixed all its problems overnight, but because the underlying businesses kept generating cash flow, kept paying dividends, and kept growing regardless of what people felt about the economy at the time. The lesson is not that problems do not matter. The lesson is that price is what you pay and value is what you get. And when sentiment is negative, prices often disconnect from value in ways that create genuine opportunity for patient analytical investors. Let us get specific because specificity is where real investment thinking begins. There are 4 categories of assets in the Philippine market that historically outperform during periods of negative economic sentiment. The first category is essential services stocks. Companies that provide electricity, water, telecommunications, and basic consumer goods have one defining characteristic. Their revenue is largely recession-proof. Meralco collects electricity payments whether the economy is strong or weak. Globe and PLDT collect mobile and broadband payments regardless of political headlines. Universal Robina and Jollibee sell food to Filipinos regardless of infrastructure frustration. These businesses have pricing power because their products are not discretionary. When costs rise, they pass them on to consumers. When the economy slows, demand for their products barely moves. And they pay consistent dividends that give you income while you wait for sentiment to recover. The current negative sentiment environment means many of these stocks are trading at valuations that are below their historical averages. That is not a problem for the patient investor. That is an entry point. The second category is Philippine banks, specifically BDO and BPI. Here is something counterintuitive about banks and negative economic sentiment. When the BSP cuts interest rates in response to economic pressure, bank net interest margins compress slightly in the short term, but lower rates also stimulate loan growth, improve credit quality as borrowers can service debt more easily, and increase the value of the bond portfolios that banks hold. More importantly, the Philippines is still in the early stages of financial deepening as a country. Now, the percentage of Filipinos with formal bank accounts, insurance products, and investment products is still significantly below regional peers. That structural growth story does not care about current political frustration. BDO and BPI are positioned to grow their customer base and their fee income for the next decade, regardless of which administration is in power, simply because the market they are serving is still massively underpenetrated. At current valuations, both banks are trading at price to book ratios that are below their 10-year historical averages, which means you are buying their future earnings at a discount created by current sentiment. The third category is Philippine real estate investment trusts. This is the category that directly connects current frustration to current opportunity. Here is the argument in plain terms. Metro Manila has a 26% vacancy rate and 30,400 empty condo units. That oversupply is partly a result of the infrastructure and governance failures that people are frustrated about. But the listed real estate investment trusts on the PSE are not exposed to the residential condo market in the same way. They are backed by commercial office buildings, retail malls, industrial warehouses, and data centers. These assets generate rental income from businesses and tenants under long-term contracts that do not fluctuate with monthly sentiment. Current gross yields on Philippine real estate investment trusts range from 5 to 7% annually. That income is distributed to you as a shareholder quarterly. And because the underlying rental contracts are typically 3 to 5 years in length, the income is significantly more predictable than any stock dividend. You are essentially collecting rent from some of the most credit-worthy businesses in the Philippines without managing a single tenant or dealing with a single vacancy. In an environment where negative sentiment is driving retail investors out of the market, real estate investment trusts yields become even more attractive on a relative basis. The fourth category is land outside Metro Manila, specifically in the 5 cities we covered in our previous video: Bulacan, Pampanga, Cebu, Iloilo, and Davao. Here is the connection between current frustration and this specific opportunity. The governance failures and infrastructure delays that people are most frustrated about are concentrated in Metro Manila. The traffic, the flooding, the density, the dysfunction, these problems are driving a quiet but accelerating migration of economic activity, businesses, and residents toward regional cities that are better managed, more livable, and significantly cheaper. This is not speculation. BSP data shows residential property price growth outside the National Capital Region is already outpacing Metro Manila. The frustration with Metro Manila is literally pushing capital toward the provincial markets we identified, which means the worse Metro Manila feels to live and work in, the stronger the investment case becomes for well-located provincial land and property. The problem and the opportunity are the same phenomenon viewed from 2 different angles. Now, let us put this all together into a framework you can actually use. The investor who wins in a frustrating economic environment is not the one who predicts when the frustration will end. Nobody can predict that with consistency. The investor who wins is the one who identifies assets whose underlying value is disconnected from the frustration and buys them while others are selling based on emotion. Here is the specific framework. Step 1, separate the noise from the signal. Political frustration, infrastructure delays, and corruption headlines are noise for your investment decisions. The signal is cash flow, dividend history, balance sheet strength, and the fundamental human behaviors that drive revenue for the businesses you own. Step 2, focus on businesses with pricing power and essential demand. Electricity, telecommunications, food, banking, and commercial real estate are your core categories. These businesses generate revenue regardless of sentiment. Step 3, use negative sentiment as a valuation tool. When everyone feels bad about the economy, valuations compress. That compression is your opportunity, not your warning. The time to buy great Philippine businesses is when the headlines are worst, not when they are best. Step 4, build income while you wait. Dividend stocks and real estate investment trusts pay you quarterly while you hold. That income is real regardless of what the market does day to day. Reinvested dividends in a low sentiment environment compound at a faster rate than in a high sentiment environment because you are buying more shares at lower prices with every reinvestment. Step 5. Think in decades, not quarters. The Philippines has a young and growing population, a massive OFW remittance base, and a structural financial deepening story that will play out over decades regardless of any single administration or any specific governance failure. The investors who built the most wealth in Philippine history were not the ones who waited for the country to be perfect. They were the ones who understood that perfect is not a precondition for profitable. Here is the final thought I want to leave you with. Every generation of Filipino investors has faced a moment where the frustration with the system felt overwhelming. And every generation that stayed disciplined bought quality assets at prices that reflected pessimism rather than reality and held through the noise came out significantly wealthier on the other side. The current environment is not different in kind from those previous moments. It is different in detail. The frustration is real. The problems are real, but the underlying investment opportunity in Philippine stocks and real estate for patient, analytical, long-term investors is also real. And it is available to you right now at prices that reflect how frustrated everyone else feels. The question is not whether the Philippines will eventually reward patient investors. The historical data answers that clearly. The question is whether you will be one of them. If you want to see the specific stocks and real estate investment trusts we think are most undervalued in the current environment, that breakdown is in the next video. Subscribe if you want this kind of analysis without the noise. Because in this channel, we do not let frustration make our investment decisions. We let the data do that instead. And every few years, the Philippines goes through a moment where the frustration reaches a peak. Infrastructure projects that take decades. Costs that keep rising, institutions that feel broken.